Welcome, everyone. I'm Atalia Sergi, and I am the National Director of AmeriCorps Seniors. I am so excited to see so many of you joining us today, and happy Older Americans Month. It is my pleasure each day to serve the AmeriCorps Seniors Grantees, our project directors and coordinators, our AmeriCorps Seniors headquarters team, and most of all, our fabulous AmeriCorps Seniors volunteers. In addition to Older Americans Month, the AmeriCorps Agency is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. And this month, we are celebrating the impact of our older adult volunteers and members. AmeriCorps Seniors is excited to support the agency in this celebration. Each year, the Administration on Community Living, a close federal partner for AmeriCorps Seniors, selects the theme for Older Americans Month. This year, that theme is powered by connections. The call to action is to share the profound impact that meaningful relationships and social connections have on our health and well-being, and to explore the vital role that connectedness plays in the lives of older adults. And for us here at AmeriCorps, we also want to explore the profound impact of the lives of those that have the good fortune to engage with our older adult volunteers and our members. In a previous life, I had the opportunity to witness the impact that older adults could have in the early education setting, how it changed every generation involved and them. The organization I worked for was started with the intent of partnering college students with preschoolers to help them get ready for kindergarten. Guided by a community elder, I was able to ultimately add an AmeriCorps Seniors foster grandparent program to the region I oversaw. My intent and focus, admittedly, was only on providing high-quality tutors and mentors to our preschoolers. What I gained was so much more. Not only did the foster grandparent volunteers support the academic and social emotional development of the preschoolers, but as they served and provided support to teachers, they became the role models for those teachers they worked with. As the volunteers encouraged the teachers in their work, reminding them of how indispensable they were to the lives of the children and the health of the community, teachers were inspired and reinvigorated. The volunteers became ambassadors in the community, and early education center directors began to remark how the schools were becoming more connected to the community through their older adult volunteers. And I heard such encouraging stories from our volunteers about finding purpose in their retirement, being excited to share their knowledge and experiences with others, and how much they enjoyed learning new skills and learning from the children, teachers, and staff they served alongside. I saw the joy they found in creating new friendships with other volunteers, broadening their social networks, and seeing improvements in their own physical and mental well-being. I also watched my staff, who at the time were primarily in their early to middle years of their careers, find themselves drawn to engaging with our older adult volunteers. Every staff member wanted to participate in the trainings, support the monthly meetings, join the volunteers walking club that they created, and greet them when they came to the office. However, of my 15 staff in the regional team, only 4 were actually assigned to support the foster grandparent program. During my time with that regional team, when we decided to bring our AmeriCorps Seniors volunteers and our AmeriCorps members who were college students together in an annual convening and in some additional community service days, what we heard from our older and younger national service participants was how much they loved learning new strategies and techniques from each other and brainstorming together how they could better support their preschool classrooms. It was so encouraging that in subsequent years, that team launched a CoGenerational summer service opportunity. The program was structured so that half of the spots were for college students and half were for our older adults. That summer program always received more applications than spots they had available for either generation. And it was proof to me that the generations wanted to come together. Having the opportunity to work closely with the foster grandparent volunteers had a profound impact on me and opened my eyes to the privilege and blessing I had as a child to grow up with my grandmas, grandpas, uncles, and aunts, living all within about 100 yards of me. So you can imagine how excited I was when CoGenerate's co-CEOs, Eunice Nichols and Mark Friedman, called to discuss an idea they had to encourage more co-generational national service projects. The fruits of those labors is why we are here today. CoGenerate offered a funding opportunity to national service grantees and sponsors in AmeriCorps Seniors, AmeriCorps State National, and AmeriCorps Vista to develop and implement co-generational service projects. I have seen and experienced the power of these collaborations, and I was ready to help them in any way I could to bring generations serving together to life. I cannot think of a better way to start this month's celebration, but to have us spend a little time talking about the power of co-generational service, the benefits of co-generational pairs, the individual and communities they serve, and how these relationships of older adults play a vital role in uniting our society. Today, you'll have the opportunity to hear from Eunice Nichols, two of our national service grantees who were funded and supported by CoGenerate in the Generations Serving Together project, and from volunteers, members, and project directors about their experience. Then Eunice will engage in a discussion with Jen Leschnauer, AmeriCorps Bridging and Democracy Fellow. We will close with reflections from our CEO, Michael Smith. And a quick reminder, as we move through the webinar, please put your questions in the Q&A. And if we have time, that's a big if, at the end, we'll answer your questions. Now let's jump in. I would like to introduce Eunice Nichols, co-CEO at CoGenerate. Eunice has been a believer in intergenerational and co-generational service her entire career. She has dedicated herself to shining a light on the benefits that come from bringing generations together, and she has been internationally recognized for her work. Eunice and I have known each other for over a decade, and no matter when and where we have the opportunity to come together, there is always laughter and joy. And I expect today will be no different. Welcome, Eunice. I'll turn things over to you.
Hello, everyone. I am so pleased to be here. There's very little that gets me more excited than national service, except co-generational national service. So to begin, just a little story about my path here. I was 25 when I applied for my first ever nonprofit sector job, and I was given a chance to run a fledgling pilot program at the time created by CoGenerate called AmeriCorps. My job was to recruit teams of older adults 55 plus into San Francisco public schools to serve as tutors and mentors. The team I was given to do that with was 5 scrappy AmeriCorps Vistas right out of high school and college who were serving as volunteer coordinators for my intergenerational program. As the daughter of immigrants from Taiwan raised in the suburbs of St. Louis, I had never heard of AmeriCorps, but boy, did I learn fast. My AmeriCorps Vista team and I hit the ground running. We recruited, trained, and placed experienced Corps members across the city and eventually across San Francisco Bay Area. And our Vistas eventually became the backbone volunteer infrastructure for supporting all the volunteers in their schools, including RSVP volunteers, foster grandparent members, and hundreds of quarter-time AmeriCorps members who were all over the age of 50. And they also served alongside full-time AmeriCorps members who were younger and America Promise Fellows. So in this multicultural, multi-generational team that was ranging in age from 17 to 96, we were able to turn schools into community centers and institutional spaces into places that felt like extended family. It was this experience early in my career that convinced me that intergenerational service is one of the most powerful bridges between age, race, culture, and class. More importantly, it's a chance for young people to develop a different vision for what it means to grow old, and through those formative early experiences, become the kind of older adults who reflexively care for younger generations. So I've dedicated almost all of my 25 years of adult life to this vision. And it's caused some of my friends and family to refer to all things intergenerational as my thing. But today I want to talk to you about why intergenerational service really needs to be everybody's thing. I'm going to start by anchoring us in two major trends that are happening in America right under our noses, but very few people are paying attention. The first is this graph, which shows the triangle-shaped age distribution of the US in the 1900s, with nearly half of the population in blue under 20 years old, and fewer people in each subsequent age group than the one before. But here's what the age distribution in America looks like today. It's a rectangle with almost equal numbers of people of every age from birth to 70 and beyond. I want to pause there for a second because that makes us the most age-diverse society in human history. And what's more, nearly half of all kids born today will live to 100. We need to start to contend with the ramifications for what a 100-year life looks like. And what would the infrastructure of national service look like if we were designed for the reality of this unprecedented age diversity? The second trend I want us to focus on today is the fact that we're simultaneously the most age-segregated nation in history. While there are many examples of olders and youngers living together, in particular in immigrant communities like the one I was raised in, the institutions that surround us are designed to separate us, often for the sake of efficiency. Carl Palmer at Cornell University calls this unprecedented age segregation a dangerous experiment, one that's linked to a raft of problems, including generational conflict, rampant ageism, and an epidemic of loneliness and isolation that disproportionately impacts the oldest and the youngest amongst us. To make matters worse, our age divisions are causing us to miss an extraordinary opportunity to bring the generations together to help one another and to combine talents for the greater good. So the moment is right for what we call cogeneration, a strategy that brings older and younger people together to solve today's toughest problems, to bridge divides, and to create connection in ways that help us co-create a better future. The good news is that the data says we're actually at a tipping point. Our research with NORC at the University of Chicago uncovered clear pent-up demand for cogenerational opportunities. There was overwhelming consensus in the belief that cogeneration will make life better in America and that it can reduce divisions in our society. And people of all ages told us that they want more opportunities to work across generations for change. Surprisingly, Gen Z most of all. So what's preventing all these people who want to cogenerate from doing it? Well, every age group cited an inability to find opportunities to work with other generations, along with difficulty communicating with people much older or younger than them. But that anxiety about communicating across generational differences was 2 times stronger for Gen Z. All that to say, young people know that to accomplish their goals, learning how to work well with older people is required, but they lack intentional opportunities to build those bridges, and they're concerned about their ability to navigate generational conflict in productive ways. So what does all of that have to do with national service? Well, with as many 17 as 70-year-olds in search of a path to purpose, connection, and economic stability, many youngers and olders are going to look to national service for solutions. But despite the need for young people to develop skills to help them succeed in a 5-generation workplace and older adults' growing need to learn and earn longer, the vast majority of national service opportunities are age siloed with little to no intentional pathways for bringing age-diverse service members and volunteers together around shared purpose and problem solving. Instead of perpetuating generational divides, AmeriCorps can set the standard for preparing younger and older generations to learn, serve, and work together. 2 years ago, CoGenerate launched Generation Serving Together, an initiative to inspire all AmeriCorps programs across the country to consider a cogenerational approach to national service. We ended up spending a year working with innovative programs and innovative leaders to push the envelope, including organizations like LISC, Seniors in Service in Tampa Bay, ASU Lodestar, and more. In fact, Robert Ashcraft, the head of ASU Lodestar, said this about the CoGen Academy that they created to bring younger and older people together in service. He said, "The model we're exploring considers what enduring results are possible when multiple generations align on a mutually agreed upon issue of concern and then design service solutions together that may never have been conceived before." And finally, we have some preliminary data that shows cogeneration works. One of those Generation Serving Together initiatives was run by AMPACT. They are the ones who operate Reading and Math Corps. They paired more than 500 older and younger AmeriCorps members to tutor students in reading and math. And their age diverse teams yielded some big benefits. 80% engaged in joint problem solving and shared resources and sharing resources with each other. More than 60% said they became better tutors simply by being paired across generations. And half of the AmeriCorps members said being on an age diverse team helped them establish stronger relationships with their students. Perhaps the most exciting finding is that when older and younger AmeriCorps members interacted more frequently with one another or over greater lengths of time, positive endorsements received an additional 10% bump. So in addition to the amazing work that AMPACT, ASU Lodestar, and others are doing, I'm particularly excited today to introduce you to some special guests doing game-changing co-generational work in an AmeriCorps Seniors foster grandparent program focused on youth mental health, and one in an age-diverse AmeriCorps program helping people get off the streets into housing. So first up, I'm going to invite Raquel, Grandma Julia, and Reba to join me. Raquel is the foster grandparent volunteer specialist at Fresno Economic Opportunities Commission and the program coordinator for their Generation Serving Together initiative. Julia Fowler, or Grandma Julia, as everyone calls her, is the poster child for lifelong commitment to helping others, beginning with her early career in nursing. She's now 81 years old and has served as a foster grandparent for 14 years. About 2 years ago, she was paired with Reba Cervantes, who is now 36 years old and studying social work at Madera Community College. They're part of a special team of foster grandparents and young people who have come together to co-design and co-teach a curriculum focused on emotional literacy. And they're providing that coaching to young people at local boys and girls clubs in Fresno, as well as a youth-built charter school. I had a chance to go do a site visit in Fresno, and what I saw there left me even more committed to doing this work to bring generations together through national service. So Raquel, I'll have you come off mute. I'm going to ask you, my first question for you is just, why is cogeneration and this the strategy of bringing older and younger together so important for mental health? And why does your program engage them? Why did you feel like you wanted to launch this new program that would use this strategy?
Thank you, Eunice. Well, the reason why it's so important is because, like you mentioned before, there's a crisis. There's a mental health crisis, social isolation, loneliness, and both of younger and older generations are experiencing that. And it seems like today that our younger generation is having a harder time getting out of that. And so the concept of the program of Generation Serving Together Fresno is bringing older volunteers, which foster grandparent volunteers, and younger community members or college age students to focus on emotional literacy and identifying feelings, which they create those lesson plans together. And they teach those lesson plans to local Boys and Girls Club and specifically Grandma Julia and Reba at Youth Build Charter School here in Fresno. And with the program, we have our GST team meetings, and we talk about building relationships and building meaningful connections within the volunteers itself. Allowing my volunteers to experience that togetherness and sort of exposing their value that they have. I think oftentimes, especially with older generations, they may feel like they don't have value, especially when it comes to mental health or social isolation. And the whole purpose of that is to really show them that they do. And, pairing Reba and Grandma Julia together, I mean, Grandma Julia is one of the most resilient women that I know to this day. And I'm learning that things don't get easier as you get older. But what I'm learning is that she has the skills, she has the wisdom, she has the experience to pass that on to Reba. Reba is also one of the most resilient, strongest person I know. And they have similar backgrounds and they have gone through a lot. And to see their relationship sort of flourish and really grow. It's really amazing. And it them as a team, I've seen their lesson plans, and how they go in as a team, and them to share their relationship to the students at Youth Build. It allows the students to have a safe place to express their emotions, express what they're going through, because they're very special students. They go through a lot. They're in their young age where they're experiencing hard times in their life. And Reba and Julie are there to say, yes, you know this is what's going on, but we're here to help you, and we're a sort of like a role model to say you can get past that. And Grandma and Reba, just their team in there with Youth Build was just amazing. And to see them just sort of give that safe place to the students was amazing. So, and that's what Generation Serving Together Fresno is all about, is just building meaningful connections, and allowing the students to have that place to be who they are, and to be vulnerable, really. And yeah.
Thank you, Raquel. I love the idea that young people could see physically played out healthy relationships and mental health prioritized at every life stage. And there's nothing more powerful than having that from those who are serving you. So Grandma Julia, you've been a foster grandparent member for 14 years. What has it been like to join an intergenerational team, specifically in more recent years, and collaborating with younger volunteers like Reba to serve children and youth together? What do you feel like you each bring to the table?
I think what I'm bringing to the table is being a foster grandparent, starting out with preschoolers, babies, teenagers, and now I'm working with the youth with Reba. And I've learned so much, and it's so, how can I explain it? So welcoming, and I'm learning from them. Like I said before, I saw myself in Reba, and I'm seeing myself in the younger adults here by me being here for them. It helps me and it helps them. I am a grandparent of 7 boys and 1 great granddaughter. So by seeing life change over the years, when I was growing up, it's the same thing, but it's more people. But this generation has problems, big problems. And the students here come to me, and it's so delightful for me to help them, to talk to them. They talk to me. We're learning from each other, where it's very, very helpful. And coming out of all of this, they're solving my problems, and I'm solving their problems. Going through different generation, and this generation, my generation, I'm gonna brag a little bit. I think my generation is the best.
Okay, there you go.
It is.
Uh-huh.
This is the best.
Mhm.
And I'm teaching her to follow in my footsteps.
I love that, Grandma Julia. 81, you have earned the right to say that. And Julie, like Rebecca, I want to invite you to
Okay.
to add to that and tell
Okay.
us what I wanted to hear the story about the first time that you co-led together. And I think you
Okay.
told me you texted Grandma Julia. Tell us that
Yes.
story.
I won't look at it.
Okay, so weeks of planning our first lesson. We really came together. We were coming and doing meetings every Friday to do this lesson plan. Mind you, I've never taught a class before, and I know Grandma has helped in the class, but we really didn't never have done this before. It was something that was brand new, and I thought I was gonna throw up the night before. I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. So of course, she's my teammate. She was someone that I can just confide into. I called her, I texted her, and I said, "Hey, I don't know if I can do this." And she's like, "You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to do great." And I was like, "I don't know, Grandma. I don't think I can go." You know, my nerves were really getting the best of
They
me.
were.
And I'm glad that I had her to confide into and go to as a mentor and as my teammate, and someone that can entrust with my feelings and really give me that guidance and that help, that push to do something better, not only for myself but for the younger generation. And what our lesson plan was is something that was very impactful and that was necessary to be taught. And I really had to get myself out of my own head, my own body, and just think about others rather than myself. And even for Grandma too, you know, I know it's rewarding for her too, just to come together and serve the younger youth, and being able to have that experience and having a platform to even be given the opportunity to work with the older generation and myself and the youth was just, it was something outside of myself, and she was really there to help me through that. And after, when we were done, I burst into Raquel's office and I said, "Oh my God, we did it," you know? And it was a really outer body experience. And I seen the impact that it had on the students. And their first time on doing certain things. And it was just a really rewarding experience, you know, seeing Grandma work with the younger generation and working with me too, to come together to execute this plan. And it was just, again, a rewarding experience, something that I would forever, you know, carry with me, and that gives me that push to keep doing it. So that was my first experience with that.
We cried.
Yeah, we cried. We cried, and it was just, it was really great. It was
2
really
years.
great.
2 years.
Thanks.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
I'm going to flip back to you, Raquel, for a second, and just for those who in the audience run an AmeriCorps Seniors program and would love to think out of the box on how to incorporate young people into a program that's really rightfully so about older volunteers, but how might they switch the mentality to a with mentality? What's your advice for how they might begin experimenting with that?
Yeah, you know, so I'm kind of going to steal something that you said the other time that we spoke, was just taking the risk. Taking the risk in those opportunities that are out there. We don't have much, which we need more. But taking the risk and, you know, applying for the funding, applying, you know, with any opportunity you're given, and being intentional about what you're doing. You know, this is a co-generational experience. This, you know, there's I've learned the difference between intergenerational and co-generational. And you know, just being intentional about what you're doing, and really being sincere about what kind of service you want to do. Volunteers are extremely special. AmeriCorps, my generation serving together, my program would not run without volunteers. We are not anything without volunteers. And really just, again, being sincere about what you're doing and how you want to do it, and taking the risk. I mean, we're going on, I believe, 2 years now with Generation serving together, and it was a pilot project at the time. And then we got support from the Eisner Foundation, and, you know, we don't know where it's going to go. And it's made a true impact. You know, I love hearing the stories from my volunteers coming in and saying, "Hey, it went great. It went great." They want to do it with the kids. They, you know, they're babies, their own kids. They want to do this with the kids' activities, you know, and I love hearing that. That's probably I just love hearing that. And again, just taking the risk in doing it and being intentional about it.
Thank you, Raquel. I could talk to you all day, but I also want to make sure you have time to meet our other amazing trio. So I'm going to now invite Liam, Gina, and Anna to join me. Liam is the Chief Program Officer and Co-Director of Generations United for Service at Santa Barbara County's AmeriCorps Partnership for Veterans and Homeless, which is a program of Northern Santa Barbara County United Way. Gina is a 58-year-old half-time AmeriCorps member with the program who's just getting started in her year of service. And Anna is a 34-year-old full-time AmeriCorps member in her second year of service, who is also in the midst of preparing for law school. So they're part of an intentionally age-diverse team of AmeriCorps members and volunteers who are working together to serve homeless families and people living on the streets. Liam, I know that you actually launched your Generation Serving Together project with your co-generational team member, Leanne, and I didn't mention before, Raquel actually describes her relationship with Leah Struck, her mentor and colleague, as a co-generational team. And so there's something about, I think, the values and ethos that actually appear in an organization that then make it even make them ready to experiment with something like this out in the field. So I want to mention that you have one of the most, I think, diverse core members I've ever seen on every metric, including age. You told me recently that a quarter of your AmeriCorps members are over the age of 55, and another 35% are between 30 to 50 years old. Tell us about your cogenerational initiative and why an age-integrated approach is part of your core values and strategy for getting people housed. It's not typical to see that demographic in AmeriCorps.
Sure. Well, I want to give people a point of reference for what the program is. So you said a long series of words for describing what we're doing, and it's AmeriCorps Partnership for Veterans and People Experiencing Homelessness, a program of the Northern Santa Barbara County United Way. It is a lot to say that we recruit AmeriCorps members to house people. It's that simple. If you want to get more complicated, we have 10 partner agencies throughout Santa Barbara County who already provide homeless services. So that can be county departments like the Public Defender's Office, the Social Services Department. It can be nonprofits like Sanctuary Centers, which provides mental wellness resources. It could be homeless shelters. So we get these AmeriCorps members, we recruit them, we place them at these sites, and they run case management services, connecting people to housing and helping them keep their housing. And so that is sort of the quick and dirty about the program. So where does the cogeneration come in? Well, we're pursuing grant funding to underwrite our operation, and we see what was Encore, what is now known as CoGenerate, offering this opportunity to accelerate programs that have cogenerational initiatives. And when we looked at our program, we were like, oh, we're already like wildly age diverse. In fact, then it was like a 25, 25, 25, 25 split across the last 4 generations, which was, I mean, an insane coincidence. And so we're like, well, let's see what this is about. Let's apply to this funding. And if we're saying that my program now is age diverse in the bones, it's because we had this interaction with CoGenerate and accessed the language for understanding what was going on. So, oh, it's an age diverse initiative. Oh, we have cogeneration happening. What is age bias? So we were in that year exploring what that meant. And in the year following, integrating it into our marketing materials for our program, acknowledging in our photos that we were age diverse, and in our grant narratives when we're pursuing continuation with the federal government, we're like, we're an age diverse initiative. We seek to have age diversity in our cohorts. And so there's what that is, what our program is. Eunice has already sort of beautifully identified like why you should have age diversity, why it dovetails so well with national service. My perspective on it is when we integrate cogenerational collaboration like this in the program design, and we remove preconceived notions of what age allows us to do, like it puts us in these boxes. When we remove those boxes, we're gifted with initiatives that are better suited to equitable service provision. So in our case, the ability to provide equitable services to people that are experiencing homelessness, people that are newly housed. I think that both national service and cogenerational initiatives bridge difference, reduce polarization. So dovetailing them like this makes effective programming. But it isn't just effective programming that makes me want to, advertise this to AmeriCorps programs nationally. I think it also addresses the recruitment crisis that AmeriCorps programs are experiencing. This is a critical issue, I think, for everyone. And I think that when you open up your recruitment past, high schools, colleges, and you start to look at, who in the Kiwanis organization wants to run half-time AmeriCorps member slot for a year so that they can gift their education award to their grandchild. when you start to think on those terms, then you sort of expand your recruitment pipeline. And I think that you'll find with Anna and Gina, who are here with me, these all-star pair of AmeriCorps members, you get a more fulfilling service year out of the cogeneration as well, which helps with member retention, which is part of the recruitment crisis. So I think that I want to end with like, why would you do well, okay, this is all great. This all feels good. And this has a romantic vision for reducing polarization, bridging difference. That's great. It's all a vehicle for expanding economic opportunity. I think that in our program, a quarter of these members get employment at the service sites that they're at. The rest of them are leveraging their experience for other work and education opportunities. All of them like mostly stay in our county. So that means that we're creating this wealth of knowledge, this new idea about age diversity within our county, and then it stays. So I believe that sparking a greater interest in national service by leveraging age diversity empowers AmeriCorps programs to expand economic opportunity that stays in their local area. And I think that butterflies upward and outward into the rest of the country. So that's my vision.
Love it. Liam, you should be my pitch person from here on out. I now designate you. All right, but I want to make sure we have time to talk to Anna and Gina. So Anna, I love hearing both of your stories. Why did you decide to become an AmeriCorps member? And how has being paired with Gina shaped your experience and better prepared you for the work ahead?
Yes, thank you. I initially decided to join AmeriCorps because a past member shared her experience, and I had shared with her that I wanted to gain experience in the legal field. And so she's like, well, AmeriCorps has a partnership with the Public Defender's Office. It's great education for that, for the background, and, you know, explain to me the award as well. And so that was in my first term. I was able to serve at the Public Defender's Office exclusively. So with clients who were going through trial or who needed to be placed, that program provided those services for them. And now my second term, I'm under Home for Good. So it's more like street outreach, and we work at different sites. We meet people in the larger community, and we serve families with children. We serve people who are coming home. We serve like veterans, like all ranges. And so it's been a really great experience for me because I was able to apply what I learned at the Public Defender's Office now with the larger community and be able to provide those resources with them. And so being paired with Gina has definitely shaped my experience beyond what words can express. We are a really good team, and we are very dedicated to sharing our knowledge like with the community. I have learned a lot from Gina, and also am a big believer on the ripple effect. So when you empower one person, you're empowering a whole community. And that's what Gina and I do, like as a team, like, you know, her passion and her direct connection and supportive services with the community also motivates me to be better, to also, and it inspires me on the way that I show up for community. So it keeps me accountable as well, because she's very passionate. She shows up, you know, it doesn't matter if it's like a Saturday, she likes, you know, she shows up. She definitely shows up. And for myself, you know, wanting to go into law and wanting to be an attorney, that also further like inspires me to show up for like my potential clients like later on in life, and to use what I'm learning from her and what I'm learning from the system on how to better serve the community.
I love that, Anna. Gina, you have a unique path to AmeriCorps and a story I want us to be able to hear. What brought you to AmeriCorps in this season of life, and what do you feel like you're uniquely bringing to the experience and getting from Anna?
I became an AmeriCorps member because I was experiencing homelessness. I was chronically homeless for 6.5 years in my county, and it was an AmeriCorps member that followed me all the way through for about 3 or 4 years, until the day that I signed my lease last year. And that connection, I believe, will be forever. Because she's the only one of the service providers that actually followed me all the way through and made sure that it actually took longer, but it did happen. I really enjoy working with Anna. She's wise beyond on her years, and she's very driven, and that gives me motivation because I tend to think, okay, let me just get, no, Anna's going to be there. You know, she holds me accountable, and she's taught me like how to keep my things arranged and things that I had kind of lost sight because of what I was going through. So she keeps me motivated to keep going. So that's, you know, I love Anna.
I love that. And Gina, can you just say one sentence on, I think I'd asked you earlier, what are your plans and dreams of the future? What is AmeriCorps helping you to do at this stage of your life?
So my goals and dreams are to open my own nonprofit here in locally, like a one-stop shop. And right now, it's a great way for me to network with the community and meet people. Anna has introduced me to a lot of them because she's been doing this longer. She's very supportive of everything that I do, and she'll even help me get there if if she has to. It's a win-win when we walk into places where people are in need of service. You know, there's like, oh, here comes AmeriCorps. You know, it's Anna and Gina. You know, and it feels good. I am proud to be doing this.
Thank you. Thank the three of you so much. I think about what it would feel like to be in the most vulnerable position as a family or as an older adult on the streets, and then to have the two of you show up to build relationship with me. I think it would feel like a family had come to the table. So I want to thank all three of you for your service. And man, my job is to keep us moving. So I'm going to do that and let the three of you go. But I want to invite our next guest, who's somebody I've been just so eager to get to know better over the past year. So Jen Leschnauer is AmeriCorps Bridging and Democracy Fellow. She is no stranger to significant service, having served as an AmeriCorps Vista member and I think a Peace Corps worker at some point, and many other things. So I'm just going to start by saying, Jen, I want you to introduce yourself to our audience. You are America's first Bridging and Democracy Fellow. What the heck is that? Why was that role created? And what brings you to this work?
Well, what an impressive act to follow. Just thank you for all the storytelling that you helped moderate there. So as you noted, I'm a proud AmeriCorps Vista alum and returned Peace Corps volunteer, and I stand on the shoulders of generations of service leaders, the helpers and the doers, who've charted a path forward. I also get to stand with those today who share a belief in the power of service as a part of the great American experiment. And I also stand in awe of those who imagine something far greater, even more creative and innovative for us all to aspire to. And so this role was created to uplift the wonderful ways we see service bridging divides. The stories we heard today are a great demonstration of the power of everyday people actively engaged in the meaning making of a united America. And this role was also created to get us to move further and farther together and reach new heights of understanding, leadership skills, and collaborative resolution in a country that we've talked about today, and we know is under the weight and constant pressure of isolation, division, polarization, and unhealthy conflict. And that can stoke fear and apathy. And what we heard today is the powerful antidote that national service and our members and our volunteers show and demonstrate day in and day out. And then I'll just add personally, like all of us, I wear many hats. I was born in Colombia, South America. I'm a biracial adoptee raised by a white single mom who was fiercely independent, yet gifted with friendships in her adult life that became our extended family. I had all these questions about my Jewishness, my queerness, pushing me to continually redefine my own comfort zone and also yearn for connection and belonging with others. If it weren't for my many intergenerational relationships, I do think I would feel more untethered. So when I've built trusted relationships with people who are far different from me, I've discovered something new about myself, grown more comfortable, and then also grown more comfortable with the person across from me. And so those things really drive the work that I get to do day in and day out at AmeriCorps.
Thank you for that personal introduction. In this role that you've been in, I'm interested to know what concrete things you're learning about bridging that would be relevant to both the intergenerational work we do, but frankly, all of that work exists within a broader arena. So what's happening over there?
Yeah. I'll share two today. First, bridging is a concept that remains relatively unfamiliar. According to the PACE Civic Language Perceptions biannual study, bridging is the least familiar civic term. Yet bridging is an emerging field of study, particularly in how building connections across lines of difference is a thriving practice in as well as an outcome of national service. With that said, the work of CoGenerate, the Generations Serving Together project, are building upon in incredibly promising ways what we know at AmeriCorps to be true. National service bridges divides. But today, and with all the great work that you're doing and the research behind it, we're getting a 3 and maybe even 4D picture of how it all looks and how it works. And second, there are scientific underpinnings to bridging. The work of leaders like Greater Good Science Center and the Constructive Dialogue Institute have centered their work on helping people understand the science of division and conversely, how to achieve happiness, connection, and unity. I think this just helps us lessen the fear or anxiety of this being a political activity or otherwise minimize the critical work by thinking it's about just getting along. When we can appreciate the very scientific nature of a brain with both automatic and controlled thinking, guiding our physical reactions to division, we're starting from a notion of shared biology and then building new muscle memory. And that's what I heard from our guests today, this muscle memory, this desire, but also muscle memory to keep coming back to that joy that comes from working together. So those are the 2 things I would share now. I know we have limited time.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And your reference to muscle memory, I often think that when you see our older and younger pairs working together, they are bridging significant differences in worldview, life experience, language, and when they exercise the muscle of bridging that divide, which is so doable because of our evolutionary biology and the ways that we actually are going to be older and we've all been younger, we can then translate the exercise we've done there to other bridging that can be more challenging. With that kind of as a frame, after hearing our service members before, what opportunities do you see for a co-generational approach to become a more core part of AmeriCorps' bridging strategy?
Yeah, thank you. You've hit on one of them and I'll come back to it, but paired and productive working relationships, just like friendships and mentorships, form naturally and over time. And I can't minimize the intentionality element to it. So thank you, Raquel, for hitting on that as well. The co-generational approach is an intentional design choice that asks people to flex and build their bridging muscles. Our bridging strategy overarching thesis is that there's great value add in being intentional. I see co-generational pairing as a strong foundation to further explore and understand one another's intersectional identities, just what you said, Eunice. So how do things beyond age, like race, religion, sexual orientation, gender expression, abilities shape our unique lived experiences, views of the world, and capacity to work towards collective solutions? The other thing that I want to pull out of what Liam said is national service is a vehicle for expanded economic opportunity. Amen. And so the experiences we're hearing from our members and volunteers, the role they play in the communities, it builds their capacity to enter the workforce with a unique set of skills at any age. Solving problems, collaborating, working through disparate thinking are all skills every workforce needs. And so the last thing I want to just leave us with, for my part, is, today I heard stories of joy, pride, gratitude, and hope. And ultimately, I believe hope and its siblings, connection, belonging, and community, can outwork, outserve, and outlast fear. I have the extreme honor to work alongside others to support AmeriCorps, its members and volunteers who seek out uncommon allies, uncommon solutions to reach shared purpose for the greater good. So just so thrilled to be a part of this conversation today.
Thank you, Jen. So beautifully said, so powerfully said. I could not be more excited to be in deep partnership with you, with Atalia, with Sonali, Michael Smith, whom we'll hear from shortly. This work requires such intense collaboration at every level, nationally, statewide, and then what you've seen today, our local sites, and then the members and volunteers. It's a true family effort. And once again, I just feel like that co-generational approach helps us. It's not just about what we do, it's why we do it, and it's how we feel as we do it. So with that, I'm going to close out this section. I'm going to welcome Atalia back, and she'll introduce Michael and help us get wrapped up for the day.
Thank you, Eunice and Jen. And thank you to our amazing AmeriCorps Seniors volunteers, our AmeriCorps members, and program leaders. I hope that all of you are feeling as inspired and challenged to keep stepping forward as I am. Now I want to welcome AmeriCorps' fearless and tenacious leader, CEO Michael Smith. His connection to national service is not just a job for him. AmeriCorps Seniors volunteers and AmeriCorps members supported him through his youth, and he credits national service participants with why he is where he is today. So this is a deep and meaningful mission for him. And as you get to know him, you can see it and hear it in everything that he does. I'd like to welcome CEO Michael Smith for his closing reflections.
Okay, Talia, that was a beautiful introduction. Hold on one second. Natalia, that was very kind of you. What a wonderful convening this is. And I want all of you to know that you have, if you can't see it, such an extraordinary, proximate, passionate, compassionate leader in Natalia who delivers every day for this work and makes sure that we're going further, faster for seniors across this country. So I'm just so proud to have the opportunity to partner with Natalia. Eunice, thank you for your leadership. We are excited always to have the opportunity to partner with CoGenerate. Thank you for leading this work, leading this discussion. I'm also thrilled to have the opportunity to have my colleague Jen here to talk about the work that we're doing at AmeriCorps and bridge building. We have an incredible team, and Jen has brought such great leadership to this discussion about the fact that there is something different, there is something special about service that brings us closer together and helps us to see each other's humanity. So grateful for your leadership. I've been reflecting on all of the things I've heard from Raquel and Rebecca and Grandma Julia. By the way, Grandma Julia is not 81 years old. I think she's making that up. The woman's clearly 60, maybe 55. So Grandma Julia, Liam, Gina, and Anna, I heard things that I am taking with me. I heard that I'm learning from them, from someone who might be a little older, where you think all you could do is teach, teach, teach. I heard that I'm learning from them. I heard that they're solving my problems. I'm solving their problems. We're solving each other's problems. I heard that service gets you outside of yourself at a time, maybe when you are struggling and going through rough times, service pulls you outside of yourself. I heard that sometimes you got to take the risk. You've got to jump. You've got to be willing to do it. I think Jesse Jackson used to say, don't get caught in the paralysis of analysis. Sometimes you just got to go and try the thing, throw pasta at the wall and see what sticks. I heard from Liam this idea that, you know, the way that I heard it is it's not just a heart thing, it's a smart thing. This work that we're doing on cogeneration supports retention, it supports economic opportunity. And I also heard that if we empower one person, we can change the community. So this has just been such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And I think what you all know, that this isn't just a fleeting initiative. It's about bringing people together from all walks of life, young and not as young, to make a meaningful difference in our communities. And as we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of AmeriCorps, the contributions of this community shine even brighter, and it's showcasing an enduring legacy of service. So during Older Americans Month, we honor the immense value of our seasoned citizens, the value that they bring to their communities through service. In the words of one of my bosses, Vice President Harris, she said recently that older Americans have spent their entire lives working hard, building families, and creating a path for so many of us to follow. And what I love about mixing generations in service and volunteer work is that it combines the hard-earned wisdom that comes with experience and making some mistakes with the untainted optimism and enthusiasm of youth. I was actually just having this conversation with my mother where she was telling me I had told you so, and I said I needed to learn from myself. And she said, well, you know, you keep that attitude up, you're going to get burned unnecessarily. And so I'm still learning, even at my older age. So this mix that we have isn't just nice to have, it changes lives. And through AmeriCorps Seniors, foster grandparents, senior companions, and RSVP, I see how this coming together enriches our communities, strengthens social ties, and builds a sense of respect and understanding. And in this world, we don't have to sideline older Americans. We see them as invaluable active participants in community. And our young folks, they learn the ropes from those who have had the best teacher, life, a life well lived. This is what intergenerational, co-generational service is all about. I think about the story of Brian from the Montana Conservation Corps. He and I were just together recently at a conference in Minneapolis. He was telling me he was proud of the fact that his program is building bridges across ages, across ideologies. They're connecting young AmeriCorps members with what he described as crusty ranchers. And, you know, neither the ranchers nor the young members thought that they were going to like each other when they were forced to work together. But by the end of their long days working together to conserve water, build dams, mitigate wildfires, and protect endangered species, two of the ranchers were heard saying, and I quote, "I have hope for this generation." And another one said, "I hate the federal government, but I love AmeriCorps." We won't tell them it's one and the same. One of the vegan members loved her new ranch buddy so much. One of the young vegan members loved her new ranch buddy so much that she actually took a bite of his homemade bison burger. So if that's not bridge building, I don't know what is. Through these connections like the one I just described, intergenerational service cultivates a legacy of empathy, respect, and civic responsibility that is cohesive for a resilient and vibrant America. I'm proud that I was a Boys and Girls Club kid. That was the spark of service for me. My mom and dad were both 16 years old when I was born. We grew up in a low-income Black neighborhood in Western Massachusetts. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but I tell you, we had a community that loved us and lifted us up and took care of one another. And these ordinary folks in my neighborhood did extraordinary things in my life and so many other lives. I think about Mama Morgan, who I'm actually going to see this week. She was the cook at the Boys and Girls Club, and she just had her 93rd birthday. And between baking cookies and washing dishes, she would tell me about her journey growing up in the segregated South and the courage that it took her to find a new life in Massachusetts. She made me feel loved and self-confident, learning to love cooking and how to navigate a commercial kitchen, even when I didn't always fit in, playing basketball with the boys in the gym or dodgeball. I might have been running away from dodgeball, but I knew I could go to that kitchen, and I was always going to have Mama Morgan not only to teach me about making cookies, but to teach me some life lessons, to love on me, and build me into the person that I am today. She gave me hugs. She gave me words of encouragement. And then she would yell at me for getting dough all over the cabinets or eating too many of the cookies. And she would tell me to get out of the kitchen until she welcomed me back the next day. So as we reflect on the discussions and the stories that I've heard and that we've all heard, it's clear that the spirit of service knows no age and knows no bounds. The experiences that were shared today from every corner of this event underscore the transformative power of co-generational service. It's not just about the tasks we complete, but the relationships that we build, the understanding that we foster, and the community that we strengthen through our collective efforts. So as we move forward, let's hold on to the lessons that we learned today. Let's continue to bridge the gap between generations, to learn from each other, and to build a future where service and volunteering are the threads that bind our community together. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for sharing this event with me, for your commitment to service, and for making today an inspiring reminder of what we can achieve when we have the bravery, when we have the courage, when we have the privilege to do this work together. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And please make sure you show appreciation to the older adults in your life and communities this month. Goodbye for now.